Welcome to Unstoppable, where dreams turn into plans and plans turn into powerful action. Hosted by Paula Swain, financial planner, business owner, grandma, and queen of reinvention. This show is for women ready to stop surviving and start thriving. We'll laugh, we'll learn, and we'll tackle the messy, beautiful, in-between parts of life that no one really talks about, but we all live through. This is Unstoppable.
Welcome to Unstoppable, where we help you dream, grow, and thrive. I'm Paula Swain, financial planner and founder of the Financial Center for Women. We talk a lot about financial health on the show, but today we're zooming in and looking at the whole picture. Because let's be honest, you can't build a strong financial life if you're burnt out, stressed out, or disconnected from your well-being. So today we're going to talk with Tara Ondusky, with the founder of Origina Coaching. So Tara is actually another friend of mine. I seem to have a lot of friends, but and we talk often about mindset. And we've talked with even Ebony a little bit about mindset and how to. That's really important.
Mm-hmm.
So I know we're going to a horse farm.
Yeah.
We went to a horse farm.
We
We're
did.
going to another horse farm to
Yeah.
do some mindset work.
Mm-hmm.
So how did you even get into mindset and coaching and all of that stuff?
Yeah. Actually, coaching was not my career path. I'm a technical project manager by trade. I work
Yeah,
in the
that
software industry.
surprised me because
Yeah.
that's like, no, that does not
Yeah, it
compute.
doesn't compute for a lot of people. But I tell the story that I was working, I'd been with a company for quite a long time and was with a great team of people and really loved what I did and just found that I wasn't happy anymore. I was wondering if this was the dream when I was 8 years old. And so I started looking for what I love to do. And the way that I did that was actually to figure out what brought me joy. So I went through a whole, kind of journey of my life, identified all the things that I loved to do, even as a kid. I just told a client recently, go back all the way to the time when you loved playing Barbies. What did you love about that, right? And see what brings you joy. And then look for that today. Look for what brings you joy today. And what I figured out was that I do love what I do. I love helping people figure out a purposeful path. That was the theme that I learned. And I went looking for other things that would allow me to do that. And coaching kept coming up, and I pursued that as an opportunity really to grow myself. And so that's what helped me.
Well, I'm a lot into growing myself
Mm-hmm.
for
Yeah,
sure. I mean,
yeah.
we talk about it often, but how does it's not a normal concept for a lot of people. Like when I talk to people about all the work that I'm doing with myself and the coaching and the mindset training and the manifestation, they're like, like I got cooties. Like
Yeah.
they just don't get it. So how do you even start that conversation with someone?
Usually I ask people what are they aware of, right? For me, the biggest learning I think I had early on was, wow, I have no awareness of anything about outside of what's going on up here. So I would come into work and be very focused on checking the box and getting the tasks done and, you know, am I meeting the obligations and doing all the things that I said I was going to do? But what was missing was here. And so how do you bring your heart and your head together, and what's the awareness for you look like for that? And sometimes that feels scary, right? To dig into that because you do have to unpack some things and learn some things about yourself in order to be able to figure out what matters to you.
That's a journey.
It is a journey. Yeah.
It's a journey.
And I think the thing that I've learned in my coaching practice is that it's a journey really almost back to ourselves, to our true selves, so that we can really live from a place that's authentically ours.
Yeah, I'm actually working with a coach about surprisingly, even though I most people think, you know, she's got it all together, I still have a lot of things inside that
Hmm.
you think I don't think you ever stop growing. Like I think
Mm.
that even as you find more and more and more about you, something else comes into play and then you need to work on that. And it's tough.
Yeah,
I
it is.
mean, I remember when I started this journey right after um, my divorce, it, it's a lot of tears sometimes.
Hmm.
And you're working with that little girl
Yeah.
inside of you and you're like, you want to hold her and protect her because nobody else did.
Yeah.
And so you have to figure out how to even go back to that little girl and heal her.
Yeah, absolutely. And the interesting thing that I've found is we have both that little girl inside of us, she's still in there, but we also have the older, wiser self, right? The person that knows exactly what we need. And a lot of times I'll tell people this when they first meet me, like, you know everything you need to know. My job is to help you find it. So I'm not here to tell you what to do. I'm not here to give you advice. I'm just going to help you explore what matters to you. And people don't believe that often. But when the insights happen, that's my favorite part because you do know everything you need to know if you're willing to sit and listen. And sometimes it's hardest to listen to ourselves. It's hardest to listen to ourselves.
That is very hard, especially when you have so much noise
Hmm.
going on in your head.
Yeah, absolutely.
So how do you calm the noise?
Yeah, you've got to find a practice that works for you, right? Some people, say, well, you really need to spend time in meditation. And then you ask, how much meditation? I can't sit still for 5 minutes. How could I meditate? Um, so people find different ways to do that. Some people do find meditation and prayer peaceful. Some people find getting out and walking in nature works. Going for a run, running a marathon. Some of my clients are runners and if they can get out and run, they can disconnect. And actually, there's scientific evidence that that's what happens. If you're moving fast enough, your brain disconnects and the thoughts quiet because you're so focused on what you're doing. So if you can
Hmm.
find the activities that support you and allow you to disconnect for even just 5 minutes, then you'll be able to quiet yourself enough. And most of the time it is getting out of your head and into your body. So it can be as simple as sitting quietly and breathing for a few minutes and then just noticing how it feels to sit in your seat. Notice notice the comfort of the chair, notice how your back is supported, notice the breeze on your face if you're outside. Just notice. And when you become present like that, your brain just automatically disconnects a little bit.
Hmm.
So, yeah,
I still work on that.
yeah, I do too.
I
Yeah.
still like I have a hard time focusing lots of times because, and I don't think that I have ADD or anything like this, but my brain, I just goes squirrel, squirrel,
Yeah,
squirrel,
yeah,
you know.
absolutely.
But
Absolutely.
yeah, so
And
it's
that,
hard for me to shut that down. And I was, as you were talking, I was trying to think, when are those moments when I do find that I can find peace? And a lots of times it's just, sitting outside
mhm,
and just staring at the scenery or going for a walk. And you really
absolutely.
do. All the things that you've been thinking about just kind of fall away.
Yeah. And I encourage people to, especially women, to take time to find their practice, whatever that looks like for you. So for me personally, I spend 30 to 45 minutes every morning kind of in a prayer practice and journaling and just spending some time reading some things that are important to me that allow me to kind of pull a theme out. And I learn from that, right? I also make sure that I get out and walk at least, 30 minutes a day if I can. And that's a good practice for me, but that may not work for everybody. So just finding the practice that honors you matters.
Yeah, I kind of do the same thing. I don't do the walk, but I do when I wake up in the morning, the first thing that I do is um, take kind of like how I'm feeling that morning. Like,
Hmm.
am I excited? Like today I was super
Yeah,
excited, but
yeah.
am I excited? Am I tired? How do I feel right now? What are some of the things that I'm grateful for? What are some of the things that I'm going to take inspired action on? And then I journal.
Hmm.
And I don't think it takes me maybe 20 minutes to do that, but it helps you ground yourself for the day.
Yeah, it does. And it helps you remember why you're doing this, right?
Yes.
Why am I showing up for today?
Yeah.
And I like to call that mindfulness versus mindset because it's bringing your whole self into it, right? And creating that awareness and the willingness to decide what you're going to do and how you're going to show up that day. So I think that's pretty important um, for being able to be in your journey, right? So when I said earlier, a lot of times we're stuck in our head. By doing that kind of work, you really do bring your whole self into it. So,
Yeah. And I think when you start, sometimes it's because it is a tough. journey, but it's such a rewarding journey. And you hit some of those things in your life and you're like, oh, like sometimes you have to go through some shame or guilt. And I know one of the things that I had to learn was how to forgive myself.
Mm-hmm.
Like that was huge, like forgiving myself and then forgiving all the people around me. Because one thing I always, we're human and we make mistakes. And sometimes we put our foot in our mouth
Mm-hmm.
when we shouldn't. And sometimes people could just carry that weight around with, oh my God, I can't believe I said that or I did that. And it's okay just to forgive yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. A lot of times we don't realize we're carrying it. I had uh, somebody share with me the idea that we're actually carrying suitcases. It's like picking up these big suitcases that you're carrying and really spending the time to open up the suitcase and see what's in there and decide what's really true for yourself and what's really true for the situation that you're in. And a lot of times people get stuck. They'll say, well, God, I don't even know. It looks so gray. I don't even know how to go forward. And oftentimes what I'll ask people to do is just answer 3 questions for yourself. What's possible right now for me? What do I believe about the situation and about myself? And what do I accept about the situation and about myself? And
So
if you
kind
can
of go through
answer those.
like an example of that.
Yeah, so let's see. I have, uh, I have a space of time right now where I'm really working on a lot of different things and I've got a lot of opportunity. I've actually got to create a lot of things, right? And so the first question I would ask is, what do I accept about this? Well, I've got a lot on my plate. I've committed to a lot of things and I've got to decide, can I do all of them? And I've got to be able to be willing to accept that I might not be able to. So what might I need to put down, for example? What do I believe? That I'm really passionate about everything I do. I love what I do. And if I have an opportunity to create some things for some people to really engage and learn about themselves and be able to create great things at work and in their lives, that excites me. And so I do want to work on those things. So what's next? And it might just be one little step. Like, I'm just going to organize this a little bit so that I can decide how much I can get done now. And if I need to recommit some things, then I go do that. Or if I need to say no to some things, I go do that. Um, or it might be something big that I say, well, I want to put this big goal out and I want to go after that. And then break that down into a smaller step. So it's really about grounding yourself to right now. What can I do right now? What do I believe right now? What do I accept right now?
And then taking one step.
One step.
And you said something that just, I think a lot of women have a hard time saying no.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And, because we tend to be very giving and very nurturing. And when someone asks of us, even though we don't want to do it, and then we resent having to do it, we won't say no.
Mm-hmm.
How do you work with your clients to teach them how to say no?
Well, I don't. I ask them to find what's important to them. So a lot of times when I'm trying to make decisions, and I even tell people this story in terms of finances, when I'm trying to make decisions, I always go back to my values and what's important to me. And so I ask people to think about that. What's important to you right now, and how do you define that? So you may say, well, I value my freedom, for example. Well, I'd ask you, how do you define freedom? Because the way we define freedom may be completely different.
Right.
But it's important to know your definition because once you do, then you can say, well, how is this decision to say yes or no honoring that value of freedom or honoring that value of family time or whatever the values are? So I always recommend to people, go Google the, term value words, see the list of them, pick 3 or 4 that resonate with you. Doesn't matter if there's no right or wrong choice, and then define them for yourself. And then bounce those up against your decisions and see, how am I honoring myself and my values? It's a really good way to
That is a great
decide
way.
whether
Yeah,
to say yes or no to something.
it is.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So I actually used it in a financial situation, trying to decide, my husband and I were trying to decide if we were going to buy some property in northern Michigan. And we didn't know how much we wanted to spend. We weren't sure it was the right timing. There was a lot of things factoring into the decision. And so we both independently did our values and we chose very different words. But what we found is that we defined them very much the same. So we said different things,
Hmm.
but our definitions were very similar. And so when we chose the values we wanted to honor, the decision became very easy for us
And
to decide. We bought the property and it was,
okay,
it's been
good.
fun for our family. So
That's a great way to look at
yeah.
it. And you're able to then be at peace and content and calm with that decision because it's in line with who you are.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I
Absolutely.
love that. I love that. I'm going to steal that.
Yeah, you're welcome to it. I love helping people figure out how to do that because it is hard sometimes when you're just like, I just don't even know.
Yeah.
You know.
So was it a couple weeks ago we did, or was it last week or a couple weeks ago? I don't remember. We did a joint conversation and we were talking about energy.
Yeah.
So talk a little bit more about that conversation. I know my part was the financial energy of it, and yours was more of decision making kind of.
Yeah, so the coaching program that I went through uses a model called energy leadership that allows you to really kind of rate how much energy you're bringing to the world. And we're energetic people. That's, as human beings, we're no different than, dandelion seeds flowing off the flowers. That's, anabolic free-flowing energy. And we're no different than leaves falling off the trees and breaking down underneath snow. It's catabolic heavy energy. We all feel that, right? So if you can understand how you're energetically seeing things, then you have an opportunity to choose whether that's supporting you or not. And none of it's good or bad. It's just information. So the way that we see the world is how we are, not how it is. Our experiences are the filters through which we see everything. And so if you had an experience where you felt some severe lack, for example, then you may experience the world in lack in a lot of different places in your life, as an example. Um, that may serve you in some cases because maybe you want to downsize or keep things, you know, um, comfortable for yourself in that regard. But it may keep you from growing your business or going after the things that you dream for. And so it's just really understanding, how am I seeing the world, and is that supporting me or not? Yeah.
But what was, I can't remember, what was step or stage one was it anger or,
Yeah, so I
or
describe it, there are 7 levels in this model,
right,
and I describe it like hitting a brick wall when you have a problem. So if you're experiencing the first level of energy, you'll hit the brick wall and you'll be like, oh God, I don't even know what to do with this. I'm not doing anything. You might need to be there because maybe it's true that you're just not in a good space. You might be feeling um, grief. You might have gone through some kind of an event that you didn't expect and you just need time to recover. But if you stay there, it's hard to move, right? You can't get past anything. The next level is conflict. Level 2 is conflict. And if you see the brick wall, you're likely just to bust through it. And if the bricks fall, they fall. If they hit other people, they hit other people. But you've gotten through the problem. And the great thing is that helps you get through the problem. If you think of, I always use people in healthcare, if you think of an emergency room physician or a nurse trying to solve a problem and save a life, they're likely to bust through a brick wall to help that patient,
right.
right? That works in that situation, but if they went through their entire life like that, it probably wouldn't be very effective, right? So really good if you need to affect change immediately because something's critical. The next levels are more free-flowing anabolic levels. So level 3 is really about um, uh, checking the, I call it checking the box. I spend a lot of time in level 3 as a project manager. I'm just trying to get things done. I want to win. I see the brick wall. I see how to win. This is how I'm winning. If you want to come with me, great. But this is how I'm going to win it because we got to win, right?
Right.
That's a lot of people at work are in that mindset because they're trying to figure out how to get things done. The next level is what I call the heart-centered level of energy. You'll see the brick wall and you'll say, how do I help you over that? Um, and that's really great because it makes people feel cared for. But if you get pulled into other people's drama, it can kind of pull your energy down. And then the levels above that are really about opportunity, alignment with people, and creating anything you want. So you can access all of those levels of energy at any given time, and we do all day long. So uh, it's about knowing where you are and then deciding, is that supporting me? And if not, where might I want to go?
So back to that awareness.
Hmm. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. And sometimes when you're in that hit the wall conflict, you're not aware. You're just so focused on what's going on that you can't see
Absolutely.
the big picture.
Yeah. And often as human beings, that's going to happen. Every day it's going to happen. The question is, how am I holding on to that? And why might I be holding on to that? What are the filters through which I'm seeing that are causing me to hold on to that? Maybe I experienced that something similar in a past experience and I'm thinking, oh, I'm making an assumption. Well, because it happened then, it's going to happen now. So that's not good and I'm going to be angry about that or I'm going to feel victim to that, right? But that may not be true.
How do we get over that part where it's a trigger? So
Hmm.
something has triggered you, and y- I know I'm more aware of my triggers, but sometimes something um, least you least expect it's going to be that thing that triggers you, and you're like, Jesus, I thought I was over that. Like, how, how do you like them? I'm more aware.
Hmm.
So I guess that's good. I'm
Hmm.
aware of
Hmm.
what that is, and then I can kind of think through it, why it's happening. Why did that trigger me? That has nothing to do with that. And
Yeah.
like it's like all the time. Well, not all the time, but I'm not
Yeah,
triggered
you
all the time.
still have
But
to, you're questioning, why do I have to still work through this? I thought I
yeah,
did that work. Um, because you're human. So our our brains are really, in their simplest form, our brains are prediction machines. So what happens is we experience things and the brain sees it and it predicts that something's going to happen. And it may be predicting before you ever even realize it. The way that you know is because you feel it. So if you feel a little bit of anxiety and you think, oh God, I've worked through this before. Why am I getting anxious about this? It's because your brain's predicting something. So you get to decide, well, I'm feeling anxiety. Is this a good prediction? Maybe not. Maybe I'm excited
yeah.
and it's going to be a good thing. So it's about really, I like to try on, it's like trying on a different hat. If I put the hat on that says this will be exciting and not scary, what might happen? How might I want to show up? So it's a I call it a big experiment.
Let's talk about the anxiety, excitement, because I just kind of went through that myself. I had this opportunity, and I thought I was so super excited about it. I was like, oh my God, it's like I envisioned it. I was talking to my coach, and we were manifesting it. The call came, it's all coming through, and I was super excited the whole period. And then, boom, something happened, and I was like, oh, this is not the right opportunity for me. I got so excited. But when it was done and I made that decision that it wasn't right, I calmed down and I realized it wasn't excitement, it was anxiety. It's something my body or whatever is trying to tell me, you're not seeing something. This is not the right
Hmm.
situation for you. And I can see when you were saying that about excitement and anxiety, how it could,
Yeah, you could be, yeah, it could be two different things. You really, and what I noticed about what you said is I took a minute and I asked myself, what's really going on here, right? And if you can do that, you can calm down for a minute and breathe through it. Oftentimes you'll have, I don't know how other people experience, but you'll have questions come up like that, like what, you know, what do you notice about this? What doesn't feel right about this? And you can get curious about what might be going on and ask some questions, not just of yourself, but of other people that'll help you explore that.
yeah, I'm a big talker. When I got something going on, I gotta get on the phone. I gotta talk it through. I just need you to listen. I don't
Hmm.
need you to fix me. I
Yeah.
just gotta talk it through. And that works for me.
Hmm.
Or journaling.
Hmm.
Journaling's a big thing that I think you just gotta get it out of your head.
You do.
And either you're telling someone or you're getting it on paper, but you just got to get it out of your head.
Yep.
And then me, I like to do dramatic burning of things that I write and, throw them in the outside or in the lake or down the garbage disposal, the toilet, wherever.
Yeah.
But I like to,
The symbolic
yeah, just
nature
like
of just saying
it's
it's
gone.
gone. Yeah,
Yeah. And it works
absolutely.
for me.
Yeah,
Works for me.
that's a good
Sometimes I
idea.
even do the whole white candle thing.
Hmm. That's a good idea.
So how do you work with your clients? Because you're not just working with um, the, you're working with them as a complete person,
Hmm.
like not just, what maybe be going on in the head, but even what's going on in the body.
Hmm.
And how do you help your clients? Well, first of all, who is a good client for you? And then take me through a scenario how you help them.
Yeah.
That was like a really long-winded question.
Yeah, so I love working with people I call rising leaders. And that can be really anybody who's in a leadership role, whether they're leading their small business or they're leading a group of people, but they want to make a big impact right now and they want to figure out what that looks like long into the future. And so I take people through a process. I actually start with an assessment that helps you understand what your energy levels look like right now. And we dive into that and explore, what supports you and what doesn't. And that assessment tells me a lot about how you see the world. And I share that with my clients, and then they get some insight about why they might be seeing something the way they are. And again, whether that's good or bad. Then I dig into what are the things that help you make decisions? What are your values? What are the things that matter to you? Um, and we set some goals around that so that you can take that one small step. So what do you accept? What do you believe? What's next? Let's get some small goals out to help you grow to where you want to be. So little visions to little goals. And then we step into the bigger things. So what culture do you want to create? I talk about culture a lot with people because what we don't realize is we live in cultures all day long, but we also create culture, and we have an opportunity to decide the culture we want to create, whether it's in our work or in our family, or just engaging with the people that we want to be around and that we want around us.
Yeah, you write your narrative.
Yeah, you do. Absolutely. So what story are you telling? What story do you want to tell your kids, your coworkers, the people you're leading, and yourself for that matter? And then given that, what's the ripple that you want to leave? So I describe leadership like putting a drop of water in the pond. The ripple goes out, but you may never see where that ripple ends. But if you're intentional about the ripple, the drop going in, then you can trust that your intention will be met. So if you intend to go into a meeting, for example, with a group of people, and you know it's going to be a crucial conversation, but you take some time to stop and set an intent that you want to create connection with people, you want them to make decisions that help support them and the business, then that intention will be met, even if you don't see the outcome of that intention. Because somebody may go home that night to their kids and have a very similar conversation with their kids that might have gone differently had you not had that conversation in the meeting, for example.
So every one of our actions or everything that we do has some sort of reaction somewhere down, rippling down into
absolutely.
the world or into your culture, into your
Absolutely. And if you can bring it back to the present, how, you know, where am I right now? How do I want to be right now? Then, and practice that, then you can bring more of that forward.
It really makes you think. I mean, that whole concept really makes you think about the words you use and the actions that you do, because sometimes we do things not thinking about how it's going to affect people down the road.
Yeah.
Like, how is it going to, because maybe we're acting out of anger or conflict and not realizing the words that we use might have upset the person next to us who then took it home and upset somebody in there because they're carrying around that negativity that you just put out.
Yeah. So if you
I
can
really love that.
If you can create some awareness for yourself and honor yourself, you're less likely to be that with somebody else, right?
Yeah.
You're more likely to show up who you are, which is a whole human being that deserves to go after your dreams, your passions, using your gifts. That's what I call the purpose equation.
Yeah.
Dreams plus passion plus gifts are your purpose. And if you're doing all of those things, it's no secret. There's no big secret to your purpose. You're doing it.
I'm living my purpose.
Yeah,
so are you.
I know. Thank you.
Tara, thank you for reminding us that wellness isn't a luxury, it's a foundation, and taking care of ourselves doesn't slow us down. It sets us up to thrive. This episode of Unstoppable was brought to you by me, Paula Swain, financial planner and founder of the Financial Center for Women. If you're ready to build a financial life that supports your well-being, let's get connected. And if you really want to take an inner look at yourself and you want to talk with Tara, please reach out to her. She's a wealth of knowledge and a really good support system for anybody that's maybe having some, what's the word I want to say?
Maybe feeling like there's more out there for them. They're not sure how to get there.
Perfect. She said it, and I'm just gonna accept that as the end. So join us next week where we're joined by Heidi, and we're going to be talking about estate planning and the importance of having your estate prepared. So remember, until next time, dream, grow, and thrive.
Thanks for watching Unstoppable. Do you have a question for Paula? Send it our way. To schedule a one-on-one consultation, give us a call. Unstoppable is brought to you by Paula Swain and the Financial Center for Women. Dream, grow, thrive.